Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andrew, happy Wednesday. Happy summer. It's the solstice.
It is the
you can
longest.
probably see behind me. There's freaking sun out for the first time in what feels like eons.
It's wild that you haven't had sun in sunny California. We've had nothing but we're it's not like we're in some drought like you guys always get, but we haven't had like good rain in a while. It's just been hot and dry here, but a lot of sun. Got the pool out. Just been chilling in that and kind of taking it all in, enjoying summer. There's been honestly, what was it, the day before Father's Day? So Saturday. But it was like
usually,
Saturday.
Yeah.
Father's Day weekend though, so I can kind of just do whatever I want.
Okay.
I'm given a certain amount of leeway as far as I don't have to, like I'm not expected to hang the shutters I built, which are just sitting in the shed now.
Yeah.
I got out of a lot of honeydew stuff, but also it was just like, it was like 75 with the breeze, and basically like if I don't go to a restaurant with a patio and drink beers and have like a chicken Caesar salad right now, I might as well just jump off a bridge. I just feel like I have to do that, or like life is not worth it. Oh my God, it was just gorgeous.
You know how hard a chicken Caesar salad is to come by.
I love a good chicken Caesar, like a good chicken Caesar where they shave the Parmesan, and there's cracked black pepper. And
you need Parm flakes,
They had some good Erdinger. I like some wheat beer with that. Fuck, it was a good Father's Day weekend. U.S. Open was great. Like obviously, Team BetSperts Golf. Team BetSperts Golf had some Wyndham Clark, so it was fun to cheer for him. I think I would have cheered for him anyway. I'm notoriously anti-Rory. So obviously, like when he cheated to get out of the bunker, that was sad, but it was nice to see two good weeks. And I wrote about this in the newsletter, and I've brought this up before, and I've used terrible analogies that I won't lean on today, but it feels like 2 weeks ago, like the Saudi Live and PGA thing was like the biggest bombshell in like sports.
Yes.
And we're never going to get over this. This is the wildest thing that's ever happened in sports. And all it took was like 2 weeks of golf, and like nobody's even talking about it. It's just like, oh, that happened. I forgot about that.
They're going to have some sort of congressional hearing on this.
Yeah, I know. There's like all, because everything about it now that you can read about it is boring as fuck. It's all legalese.
No memes.
Yeah, no, it's like, oh my God, I don't care about tort law. I don't want to read any of this stuff. So like everyone just doesn't care. Plus you had, a 70-foot walk-off eagle putt, golfer getting tackled, a U.S. Open won by a kind of a long shot who resurrected his career a little. Like 2 weeks of really good golf didn't hurt either, but it's been weird. But obviously this is it's a fun stretch. We're in a fun stretch. We got a good golf tournament this weekend again. We got the Open in a few weeks over across the pond. Fucking, it's summer, baby.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, congratulations to the Spurts Golf guys. I watched that clip. I remembered seeing it and thinking like, God, I don't know, 120-1. Like, I really just don't know if we're in a world where a long shot has a chance in a major in the golf. But sure enough, I think you guys got the best price and made the earliest case that I heard. So hat tip to you. How did and you were Sporttrade apping, yeah? You were wheeling and dealing, right?
Wheeling and dealing.
You had a couple hundred shares of Clark. I saw.
Right, so takeaways from Sporttrade, and we'll keep it Sporttrade focused because they are the ones who paid for some ad reads. So this podcast brought to you by Sporttrade. If you are in New Jersey or Colorado, definitely check it out. But
apparently
in Minnesota, if you can swing that sort of thing. But I am kind of enamored with this. And for how did we meet, Drew? What sport was it?
Tennis
betting.
Yeah, tennis.
So we
this time of year?
No. Tennis is tennis, obviously tennis betting a lot more popular in not America.
Correct.
And we know, we don't know all these
Eurasia.
people. We know we know them tangentially, and people in the space. There's a lot of tennis people that don't call themselves tennis bettors.
That's
They don't
true.
call themselves tennis handicappers or whatever, tipsters.
Yeah.
They call themselves tennis traders. And I mean, a lot of guys, that's kind of what they're doing. They're just trading matches live back and forth, getting out of positions. And it was fun. I will say, like, lessons learned from using Sporttrade. You kind of do have to be engaged. Like, it is not, again, shitting on Fezzik here, but like, you do have to actively manage this. It is a portfolio that is, I mean, a guy hits a bad tee shot and the prices will drop. Offers come off the table. But I had some Wyndham Clark, which was my saving grace. Basically broke even because I made a bunch of bad trades. Once Friday hit, it's just like, oh, I should just add this guy. And here's a guy I could see playing well. Mm-hmm. And I added, I believe it was Siwoo Kim Friday morning to my portfolio.
Okay.
And basically just watched him bleed before he even teed off. But he had an afternoon tee time. So by virtue of a couple golfers who were near the lead, who were, lower priced in the marketplace, doing halfway decent, his win equity went down, his price went down. Yeah. So my shares of Siwoo Kim went down. It was interesting because I don't have I think you could probably get to sign some paperwork at the SEC to do this, but you can short people on here. You can lay. Okay. Yeah, you need. I'm sure you have to like a credit check, so you're good for it. But I was joking. I'm helping them out. What are they gonna do? Fucking margin call me?
Well, back in the day at like Wessex, when you could bet and lay, you had to have credit in your account.
Yeah, you do have to have credit.
Yeah, to get as many contracts.
Similar to how PointsBet used to operate with points betting. You had to have that amount in your account in order to lose it. But I was thinking there was definitely a market for, hey, the golf course is soft this morning.
Yes.
Some of the leaders are out. Let's pose it like Friday morning. Some leaders are out early.
Yes.
I think they're going to shoot well. There's some guys in the afternoon I should just short.
Just short them
and pick up, pick up like 10% gains on all these guys and then buy the shares back at lower prices. I definitely think there's a lot of, and I'm probably saying stuff that's just, no duh to people who've been involved in markets in Europe.
We're talking, we're learning. This is beginner stuff.
This isn't like, England, France invented democracy before we figured it out. We had to sort stuff out. And honestly, we're not doing the greatest job with it. Sorry, France.
No, problem solved.
Neither here nor there. But it was interesting. And then also too, I said the time decay. Like, if you have a golfer on, Thursday, there's a lot of golf left, guys. A lot of game to be played. A lot of holes left. But once you get towards the weekend, if you have a guy who's 10 shots off the lead, he made the cut, but his win probability is low. There's just no market for it. Like, you're dead.
No one's taking that. No one's taking those shares.
No one wants those shares. You can't make the price high enough for somebody to buy them, and you're essentially just looking at something that's dead in the water at that point.
Okay.
So it is a different game early in the tournament, obviously the late. It's obviously same as live betting, but it was an interesting, and hopefully it catches on in more. Hopefully they can get licensed in a lot more of these legal states, because it is definitely what the U.S. market is missing is some exchanges. Like, I'd love to be doing it.
Bunch of quick questions for you. Sure. I agree. Yeah, we could probably do an entire show about trading and lessons learned and
I know this is
strategy and stuff, because that interests me a ton. Like, it
started as an ad read, but this is generally interesting.
I can tell you the way that I behave on Saturday and Sunday. This is not for me, right? I'm better off just kind of firing something on Thursday and then just checking the account on Monday, as opposed to really having to actively manage on the weekend.
Agreed. Yeah. I think that's what what did I just say? I had to go get a beer and a Caesar salad. I wasn't managing my account while I was whistle binkies on the lake.
That's right.
I think I would have liked to, if I had to do it again, I would have said, I can't actively manage a portfolio tomorrow. I need to close positions Friday afternoon and be done with it. And if I think this guy has a shot, I'm going to sit on it through the weekend and ride it out to at least Sunday if he's near the top. Anything that I think is going to depreciate or I just got to take my lumps on. I should have sold Hideki on Friday. I should have sold Cam Smith, Siwoo, some of those guys early, because then I just took dead.
Talk me through. We'll just use some hypotheticals here. If you wanted to put $500, or say $200, you want to put $200 on Wyndham to win $20K before the tournament, right, at 100 to 1.
Yep.
If you had bought $200 worth of shares and you just sat on them and did not actively manage, would you have had $20K on Monday? Like the price worked out. The price basically worked out, so it was effectively, there was no slippage relative to outright markets, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, it was if I would have just sat and believed in Wyndham Clark and not sold those shares. Again, I sold those shares at like a 15 or 20x profit.
Yeah,
but
I could have ended up going 100
plus X profit if I'd have just sat on those. So I was having too much fun managing it. But yeah, that's the shares are based on, if they win the tournament, each share is worth $100. So when you buy buy those shares, you're buying like X amount of shares for a small amount of price if it's a long shot like that.
This makes perfect sense. Okay. And strategically, if you were going to do this, you would probably time guys who are in the morning wave if you're going to go pre-flop.
Yeah. And I did say it too. I think I would, I would have shot for more guys like Wyndham Clark, where it's like, hey, this guy has a price 50 or above, but he has the game to have, because how many times do we see this in the, in the first round leader markets when, people are cashing their first round leader tickets on Thursday, like, hey, Aaron Rye, which is a great example because he's great on Thursday. It's like Aaron Rye cashes at 70 to 1. Whereas like, good, now I'm done with it. Like, I think that's how I would approach using it a little more. It's like taking some small positions on some long shots, because you get like 5 of those, and it just takes one of those to shoot up the leaderboard, and you end up with a nice little cash out.
I see what you're saying.
Almost treating it like a first round leader market. How
about, let's go back to the Wyndham Clark example and I want to ask you another quick question. So if you have 200 at 20x's, you're sitting on 4,000 in equity going into the final round.
Yeah.
Can you basically utilize that equity to buy Rory and Scotty shares and just say, end of the day, this is, rather than
you'd have to sell. You'd have to sell.
You can't
leverage it.
You can't leverage it. Okay.
If you had cash in your account, which I did,
but you're gonna you have to sell some of the you have to like actively sell Wyndham to buy Rory, to buy Scotty.
You can add to your portfolio. Obviously, if you're sitting on those and you got a couple grand in your account, you just I'm going to buy some Rory. Scotty. Hedging in golf is tough. This was a scenario where you probably could have, if you wanted to, because it did really come down to being a 2-horse race at the end.
Yeah,
but, man. Every time I've tried to hedge golf, I've had a hell of a time. Honestly, and the best way to treat this is a beautiful way to hedge.
Yeah, right.
Because if you did get if you're on an account and you were able to lay or bet against, and you had a big price, let's say you had Wyndham Clark 100 to 1, you don't have to bet Rory. You can lay Wyndham Clark on Sunday for a small whatever amount you wanted to hedge off, and you win either way. So I think that's a nice way to use it as well.
That's a very, 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 very fair point. Going back to the golf itself and away from the trading, but thank you, by the way, for telling me all of this. This is very, very informative.
If New Jersey wasn't the home of the Toxic Avenger, I'd probably move there. Remember that movie?
It'll rip around. This isn't something. This is a part of the sports betting landscape of the future. I'm almost sure in some format. Probably,
really do.
Hopefully, these guys.
And not only that,
treated you well. Yeah.
Again, not to sound like a goddamn infomercial, but you're not. You literally, like, there's no reason to limit you.
No, right? No, it's not.
Action.
That's the
more action is. You need action to drive a market like that. So more people betting is better, and they're just taking their cut at the end, like almost like pari-mutuel. So the price is the price. It doesn't matter how many golf bets you've won. They don't give a shit as long as your money's still going into the equity pot, and people.
You thought liquidity was no issue for you?
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, there were some spots where, hey, this is the price,
Yeah.
but here's what's offered. Like, there was a golfer pre-tournament I tried to buy 500 of,
Yeah.
and when I hit $500, I tried to hit $500, and the price dropped
Okay.
because there was only $400 worth at that price. And then someone had made an offer at a slightly lower price as well. So they averaged, obviously it was a weighted average out. It wasn't a lot worse, but it made you look at it and say, like, am I willing to take $500 at a slightly less price, or do I just want $400 at the better price?
Got it. I see.
But also, I mean, going back to trading in general in markets, whether it's financial, crypto, or whatever, a partial fill is the true.
That's the sign.
You
got
plus the true mark. It's the true mark.
Plus CV bet. Yeah. All right. Do you know that if they're going to? I'll kind of close the thought there because the idea of super liquid big time exchanges for real life events.
I mean, obviously expansion is the goal.
It's exciting. The golf itself, a lot of people were pretty hard on the LA Country Club. What did you think?
I just can't get into that. Like, I enjoy it when the course is hard, but I'm not like mad, I guess, when it isn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. It's like, I don't know, like golf is golf. All the big names were there.
Some of the shots were incredible.
I was more mad about the crowd thing where they just didn't have big crowds. It felt kind of weird. And then it was a total flip on Sunday where they have like just a million people tromping on the fairway at the end. But no, I don't give a shit. I thought the course was fine. Like, there were some easy holes, there were some hard holes, and really Michael Kim, who we've talked about on the golf shows a little, he tweets a lot, and all of a sudden he's great. But he kind of pointed it out. He's like, hey, guys who make good shots are scoring because they're rewarded. It's almost like, compared to an average course, like a good shot is a good shot and it's rewarded at X amount. A bad shot is a bad shot and it's penalized at X amount. It was almost like you doubled those rewards and penalties. It's like bad shots were very much penalized.
Except for William Clark's drive on 18, which was not penalized at all. Because he ended up in the other fairway.
And I think he knew that's the shot. He hits the butterface, and he knows that fairway you could land several 747s on. I can miss over here and be fine. And that is maybe the only knock on LACC is 18 isn't a very good hole.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's tough. It's tough to always have great holes to end the tournament with, and I know there's some courses that really have nice closing stretches. Like 18 sucks. Especially coming off the weird Canadian Open where we had the goofiest freaking hole to end a tournament ever, and then we ended up playing it 4 times in a row with that par 3 mixed in there. So it did feel. I mean, I guess going into the 18th, I really didn't see how he lost it outside of Rory just absolutely throwing a dart on his approach.
Yeah.
Like Rory needed a birdie. There wasn't a bogey coming, I didn't think.
Correct.
Because it's just like, this is such a good hole for him to just make a second shot, like 175 out, lag putt from wherever. Once he got to once he was within 100 feet, it's like, well, you just gotta make this.
There was a chance he was going to bottle the lag putt, but he freaking stroked it, and that was that.
Would you golf at all, Drew? Ever?
No.
I mean, I don't get out much.
No. Not because I have anything against it. I just don't have time for that.
I know it does take a lot.
Really a time suck.
I golf more now that my son likes golf, so we go out. We'll probably go out Friday, but like I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool to hit the ball 325. It'd be really cool to have irons that looked like Morikawa's. But I think if I could steal one thing from anybody's game, it would be lag putting like that. I'd take 15 strokes off my game. My putting is so bad. If I could hit every shot like that to like 3 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you need. Work on your short game, people.
What can you remember a better recent golf shot than Scotty's Eagle on 17?
Oh God. And that was the fun part too. There were some really good shots throughout the tournament.
Some really good stuff.
Fun tournament.
There was some really good stuff. Yeah. Do you agree that Rory should be favored for the Open now after that?
He didn't really do a lot wrong, man. I mean, he had some shots that were just marginally, it's just him and Wyndham just on the razor's edge, where it's like, oh, that's just going to kiss off the long grass and bounce back under the fairway for Wyndham. And Rory's is just, it's, just slightly better shot. And he's probably not burning the edge on that putt. So, like, I didn't grab it, and I do regret it because I was just going to fucking hammer fuck this. But Rory got up to like 14 and 15 to 1 today or yesterday for a while. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, he shouldn't be that far off of, Rahm and Cantlay and Scotty's prices. He's a very good golfer who continually puts himself pretty damn close. So, I mean, I'm going to be looking at the weather and how we work it out. But, man, I might be in on Rory if his price continues to be a little too long for, basically anywhere but Augusta, I might bet him at the right price.
Okay. Interesting.
And the Open's different though too. It's
a links course. I don't know if you know that.
He is very well suited for that. Just fucking, he's got such a good driver, and just hammer it out there. Play off these burnt out goddamn yellow fairways.
It's so hot. It's been such a hot spring in the UK. I don't know if you caught this, but really hot and really dry. Like, Wimbledon's going to be the fastest conditions I think we've ever seen, which is going to be insane.
The baselines are going to be shot by like round 2. Yeah.
The center court. They're just going to have to go easy on it. We'll see. But yeah, I enjoyed the tournament. I regretted not going to the practice rounds. I had time on Tuesday. Well, I could have definitely gone.
What's traffic like to get there? That's all I can think about.
Oh, it's not good. It's really, really, really bad.
It's like, man, I would take like a bike.
Yeah. Well, that was my plan. Actually, I have an e-bike now, and I was going to put it in the car and park down La Cienega.
It's like a vape.
Electric bike, a bike with a battery on it, so you can get up and down the hills of LA without really sweating. Yeah, nice. It's for commuting. Yeah, but the parking situation and the traffic was pretty bad,
and also because letting in 200 people a day.
UCLA was having graduation. Too, so it was especially gnarly around there, which I'm sure impacted things.
Producer Dan will be making it out to the course tomorrow, which, God willing, and the creek don't rise, the rain isn't horrible.
He's going to LA Country Club. Cool.
No.
Oh,
Cromwell Travelers.
Travelers.
We're at Travelers, which is ironic that they're the logo for the tournament and the sponsors an umbrella, because it's going to rain in Cromwell for like the next 19 days. That's what Dan pointed that out to me too. He's like, hey, even if they push this to Monday, it's going to rain Monday. Like, the weather report for next week, it's like rain Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So hopefully it just scattered and we get it in. I hate hearing the horn, especially my wife's going on a girls trip this weekend with some friends. The kids have the pool. It's gonna be warm out. They can just stay away, and I just want to sit and watch golf like all day Saturday. And I'm gonna be pissed if I sit down.
It's gonna be a baseball weekend, Andy.
Yeah, the thing it says like we're currently in a weather delay. Here's some footage of the 1992 Ryder Cup. Fuck, I would actually watch the shit out of that. Is it 91? Which one was Kawhi?
I don't know. That's great though.
That was
all right.
91. Yeah.
All right. Let's keep things going a little bit here. Most of my focus this week in the betting world has been not on grass tennis, not on. Although I saw some people asking questions specifically about Seb Korda. I hit Seb Korda outright, or not money. I had money line to beat Tiafoe today. He looked good. He looked very good. And I think he's got a little bit of a natural game for grass. And I'm not saying he's like a bet for Wimbledon, but he's going to be a spoiler for sure. Some of the and
Matthew was pointing out like maybe to win a quarter with the right draw.
I think that's entirely plausible. Some of the guys who have the experience and it's such a quick turnaround on grass season. I think just the only advice I can really give you is don't be fooled by like some of the grass specialists who are doing especially well in, last week, this week, next week. Those guys, for whatever reason, flame out at Wimbledon every year. I don't know why.
God damn it, Dan. Don't come in tomorrow.
Did you mean Seb to win his quota? Yeah. His quota.
No, but my turn to ask you questions.
Yeah,
because,
go for it.
and I mentioned this, I was out picking an old episode to throw up on the feed to give you guys a little extra content while we're waiting for football. And somebody did ask that question as well. And Charles asked, when is the first team preview? We don't know which teams yet, but it will be the week after, the 4th of July week there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think actually we got to do some kickoff before that. All right. We got to do like a schedule episode, and we got to do like a summer.
Well, next week is the week.
That's the week we got to do it, I guess, then. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do two next week.
Yeah. Let's do 2 episodes. Let's do a Monday night episode too.
All right. This is the end of the summer podcast cycle.
We'll transition
we'll ramp
NFL
up. We'll
on
ramp
Monday.
up. We'll ramp up next week tomorrow.
Dan, you're working Monday night.
I'm working on a guest who's good tennis NFL crossover. That would be a fun one for Wednesday to kind of put a bow on the summer.
Oh, please not Johnny Mac.
I'll surprise you. It'll be a surprise. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, then we'll forget I ever said this. Okay. The Tsitsipas good on grass.
Tsitsipas is not good on tennis right now.
Yeah, Tsitsipas is he's in love, man. Who cares about tennis? He's in love. All right. The focus this week has been entirely NBA draft for me, betting wise.
Oh, I was gonna transition to baseball. Let's do 10 minutes on that. We'll get to the draft.
Sure.
I want to ask you, because that's where I was leading before I got sidetracked by my own brain. Answered Charles' Salt question. We posted an old episode last week to just kind of help fill up the feed and give you guys something to listen to during the dog days. And it was a really good episode. Drew mentioned this, and it's funny too, because I was going through the old episodes and listening to the beginnings and kind of making sure it was a good audio quality one, because I caught some shit for posting one from like 5 years ago where it wasn't. So I listened, and I ended up listening to like the first 45 minutes of this one, the one with Frank Brank, where we talk baseball modeling, baseball advanced metrics, things of that nature, crab rangoons. And you brought it up. You're like, man, I listened to a bunch of that. And I said, I did too. It was really good.
It was.
You ended up putting together a quick strikeouts model. And I was going to ask you kind of, what does that entail? What did you end up leaning on there for not only your data, but how did you end up putting it together?
So the episode with Frank was inspirational. I was, like there were like 10 things along the way that I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, I should look into that. And at one point he brought up something about like how whiff plus was predictive for strikeouts, and I made a joke something along the lines of, we'll delete that from the pod. And when I said that a joke when we were interviewing him, I was thinking literally like, okay, when I get bored this summer, I'm gonna like figure that out. And like
2021
2021, 2 years later, re-listening to it, I was like, oh, okay, I should actually try to figure that out, because I am bored right now.
I should learn to play the guitar.
I should learn. Yeah. And so I was like trying to get to the bottom of that, and like where to even find that data, and like digging around, and there was like one site that has like proprietary analytics that has XKs for pitchers, but it takes a lot of data before they apparently feel like it's stable enough to publish it. And then they have it locked in this website format that is like just an absolute pain in the ass to scrape. Like just it makes you want to quit, right?
Yeah, when you're like 30 minutes into it, you're like,
it's like, oh god. And so I was like, all right, I want to get this data out to at least test it and see if if this is theory holds, right? Like, is what they're producing with XK, which is a predictive strikeout rate based on the data you have from a player, which is presumably more forward predictive than what you can get just by mashing together a pitcher's strikeout rate with a team's strikeout rate, which is how most of the openers, as far as I can tell you, that's kind of where they're anchored, right? So far this season, Spencer Strider striking out 32% of the batters he's facing, going up against the White Sox, who strike out 28% of the time. They think Spencer's going to face 26 batters, and his prop is 9.5 or whatever, right? Like that's kind of the mash openers, right?
And I was curious too, is if you looked at some of those props too, where, and I know these are probably even lower limits than K props, but they have props for how many outs a starting pitcher would get.
Yeah,
I was curious how close those were to some of your projections.
Oh, I haven't even looked at that.
I'd love to hear about that. If
I
you
have
go back and look.
Yeah,
at your
sure. No, yeah, I can tell you what I've learned so
compared to
far.
those pricings.
I can tell you what I've learned so far. So first of all, I was angry that I couldn't scrape that XK data. So
that's how every model starts.
Eventually, I was like, fine, forget it. I'm writing a script. I really didn't want to do the work I was supposed to be doing. That's how we ended up here. And so yeah, I got frustrated, banged my head against the wall. Eventually just take the whole HTML and use the tool where you're just identifying brackets and just pulling what's in between the two greater than less than that are back to backs. And so basically just formatted a way to take the HTML and dump it and then rewrite it as a table. Got the XK out, but it was only for like 60 or so pitchers, right? So I was like, okay, well, I have this XK now. We'll multiply that times, however many outs a guy's going to get. How do I get that? And I was like, go to Baseball Reference, and now I'm, cross-referencing pitchers' names in the two different formats. And what's funny is Baseball Reference is very, very, very faithful to the hyphenated, or not the the vowels with the accents.
Oh, like tittles.
The tittles, yes.
Things. I struggle with that with some of the scraping with golf. Obviously, like some of the Asian players with the hyphens. Some sites have it, some don't. Sebastian Munoz with the accent with the tilde.
So basically, all that stuff is there. Baseball Reference, very, very faithful. No one else is. And so you almost always, there's always like a bug, doesn't match. So you basically, anything you get off the Baseball Reference site, the first thing you have to do is rewrite all of the vowels, which is like, all right, fine. So you write a script for that, and then you start mashing numbers together, and you're like, okay, well, so far through 10 starts, this he's averaging 6 innings, 6 innings a start. So, and this is how stupid I was when I first freaking punched this all together. I went, okay, so 6 innings to start, that's 18 outs. K rate is 20%, so we should expect like 4 Ks or whatever the math works out to. And so I did that, and I did that for all the pitchers I had available on a given day, and looked at all the lines, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. I got 4 edges. They're all unders. Okay, cool. I played the unders, went 1 and 3. And I was like, oh, well, maybe there's nothing here. And so then I kind of thought a little harder. I'm like, let's go check and see like if there was any busts here. And I'm like, why did I predict this guy to have 18? Why was I going against 18? But then he faced like 26 batters. Like, that's a big difference. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Like, of course, like it's not innings pitched and number of outs times the K rate. It's literally the outcome of the batter you faced. And so I was like, oh Christ. So I was like, yes, obviously that's that is what matters.
So you're saying not every pitcher that you bet on had a perfect game or no hitter going when they pulled them?
No. But even
they did give up some hits and walks.
Yes, exactly.
This is checking out so far.
Yeah. Even that said, the 4 unders that I played, I got hooked on 2 of them, and one of them I missed by 1. So I was kind of close.
That's hard.
Yeah, I was right? So I was like, wow, I way missed the projection here, but still it was kind of directionally correct. And so then I was like, okay, let's sharpen this up. Let's figure it out a little more. And so then I got deep into the woods of kind of crunching through game log stuff on batters faced. That, believe it or not, batters faced is weirdly stable. Like it's the organizations and the way that they're treating their pitchers. Like the decisions about when you're pulling a guy has way less to do with number of pitches, way less to do with game state than it does with how many batters a guy has faced. Like there are lots of examples of the guy just he didn't have the stuff that day. He's getting creamed, but the manager's like, he's got to get to 25.
Yeah, we need like 5 more hits. Five more hits over the fence for him.
He's like, yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm willing to let this get out of control because I literally need him to face 5 more batters. Like, this is not good enough yet.
Analytics, folks.
That's right. I got another winner today. I had Beto, whatever. Yankees pitcher. I had him under, and he only got to 3. He faced 20 batters.
Barada.
Okay, sure.
It's like a dry drainage ditch.
Oh, Barranca.
Barranca.
Like that.
They said that a lot.
Barranca. Yeah. It's a
ditch, guys.
There's a Rihanna song where she says Barranca like 10 times. It's pretty outstanding, and that was all I could sing every time I kept hearing them bring up Barrancas. She's talking about the gun, of course. Anyway, so the key inputs are XKs. You need some projection for that, and batters faced for any given pitcher. You mash those together, and you get an expected strikeout for that guy and that start. How you go about getting those data, you can go a lot of different ways. Scraping it the XK way, and actually, like what I found as I kind of continued to dig and continue to test stuff, like there's nothing magic about this one site with the XKs at all. It's literally like effectively swinging strike rate times 2. Like that might as well be. Right. Like it is some sort of, algorithm that they take the data that they've got and they punch, they spit out the whiff plus and the, blah, 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 blah. But effectively the XK rate is just swinging straight.
You know what the beautiful part about a proprietary algorithm for a stat that nobody else has?
Yeah. It can be anything.
Like, it can be anything.
Yeah.
Hey, why did you pick this coefficient? Because it spit out numbers that were pretty close to the market.
Yeah.
And that now people pay me for this data.
Yeah. And if you want to know why I know that, that's basically what it is and why I went to the trouble of figuring out how they calculate that. It was specifically because they only give you one value for the full season based on, a big data set that only covers like 60 of the starting pitchers, which is not really enough to really kind of get enough volume to really be able to tell if there's any signal there. Right. So I was like, I got to get more pitchers. I got to get, got a more bigger sample size here. Like this is just not enough. And I also wanted to test some heat index thoughts, right? Like pretty obviously to anyone who's watching games or betting K-props, probably like there's definitely, guys go through a cycle throughout the season of their stuff is peaking, their stuff is waning. Right. And when your stuff is peaking, your strikeouts, the projected K is a lagger, right? And so if you can kind of capture heat in terms of guys' performance and particularly swinging strike rate,
just sounds like fatigue. It all sounds like fatigue factor to me.
It's it's pretty damn
I know, but I mean it checks out. Again, if you
of course
a little ahead or a little behind,
guy goes through 2-3 starts, doesn't have control. He's not getting the calls at the plate. Like guy goes through 2-3 starts. He's got control now. He's more comfortable upping his velocity. Guy's tired. His velocity drops. Right. Like all that stuff. You can.
And I wonder too. And then
you can get granular if you want.
Be like, and it wouldn't be everybody. You couldn't use young pitchers or people without this proper sample size. But if there are looking at the last few seasons, are there patterns for certain pitchers? Who tail off later in the year after 150 innings or something like that, if you can get ahead on that as well.
Absolutely. And so what I really wanted to do, not just take someone else's proprietary XK, but come up with my own that was time decayed appropriately. That was basically the entire solving of the problem in my mind, because pretty clearly swinging strike rate is much more predictive of Ks than your actual performance to date, right? And so right there, you've already solved a bunch of the problem, but I wanted a little bit more granular so I didn't get into trouble where, like, you take, what's his name, Sandy Alcantara, the Marlins pitcher.
Sure.
This is a good little sidebar. So any kind of swinging strike rate and forward projection stat is going to tell you he should be striking out 7 or 8 guys a day, right? So every model is going to basically be like, big number, should be a big number. And 2 starts in a row, his number was like 5.5, opened even, and got aggressively bet to the under. It's like, why would that be? Are we expecting him to face fewer batters? Or is something happening? Right. And like, guess what? It's not a secret out there among people who bet and watch baseball. He's struggling. Alcantara sucks right now. Like he is getting hit hard, and he is struggling with his control. He is walking more than he used to walk, and he just doesn't look anywhere close to the same form he had last year. And so it's pretty obvious reason that people would kind of go after his strikeout under, because they just don't think he's going to make it as deep into a game, not going to face as many batters potentially, that sort of stuff. So I kind of manually just voided playing his over today, even though I predicted 7 Ks and it was 5.5 as his prop. And he ended up pitching a full 7 innings. He gave up 10 hits, and he faced
probably 30 batters.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. 31. He faced 31 batters. 31 one batters. One of the highest. One of the highest of the entire MLB season, particularly for a guy who gave up 10 hits and 5 runs and two walks. So
and Patrick here, and again, if you're in podcast form, you can't see this. I put it up on the screen, but Patrick already beat me to my next. Which maybe he didn't beat me. I had it in my brain, but you wrote it before I said it, so we'll give Patrick credit. But umpire K data. That when you said getting a little more granular, that hit me as well, because I know a few guys who, they not K props per se, but totals, for sure, betting using umpires, whatever data they can get on that. I don't know. Have you looked at that at all? How would you go about using that?
Keep in mind what I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. What's my primary input?
XK,
swinging strike rate.
Oh, the whiff rate there.
That the umpire...
how many umpires will call a swinging strike?
So here's the only thing. Here's the thing. I will 100% acknowledge if you are a pitcher that has a lot of good stuff and an umpire is squeezing you, it will affect your swinging strike rate, because you're gonna have to throw it into the zone. I'm just like, I'm getting squeezed. I gotta hit the zone.
And a larger zone, batters are going to have to adjust and swing to protect more. Hey, he's calling everything high. I'm gonna have to swing it a lot more out of these high strikes. Balls, honestly.
Exactly.
It does affect.
It has like around the margin stuff though, and I haven't found anything to be strongly predictive at all there. But I have been tracking 2 kind of side parameters there besides just projecting the strikeout rate. And again, kind of going in to get my XK, I'm going like a weighted sample of recency this season, and then sort of long-term stable values based on sort of, just in general, how good are you? How good have you been this season? And then how good are you right now? Like those are, I'm doing a weighted blend there. And what I don't see any obvious things with the umpires. Doesn't mean it's there. I think just in general, like some umpires have a big zone, some don't. I have a general idea who that is, and I have looked a couple of times when I've been a little bit close, right? Like I'm close to an edge that I think is bettable, and I'll look at the umpire and I've been like, okay, I got an under. This guy has a huge zone. Let's pass. I got an over. This guy,
I like it. So sometimes that's
let's pass.
Sometimes that's the answer, and we went over this. We were talking about being directionally correct. Sometimes it isn't. Hey, how do I take this?
This qualitative layer that gets you on or off.
Quantify it at the deepest level and build it into my algorithm. No, sometimes it's a nudge at the end where it's like, hey, I'm damn close. Who's the ump?
Yep. I also found that I didn't even mention this, but there's not enough variability in team overall strikeout rate, other than a couple of them, to really that should be a leading parameter. So I'm upweighting pitcher stuff much more than I am team swinging strikes. And then the final kind of piece of the puzzle is there are a couple of guys who are not everyday players in the MLB who are just walking strikeouts. Like three, like
the Colorado Rockies.
Exactly. Like the Colorado Rockies.
There's
a couple of guys like that
just fill
who are
this
not
in and
everyday players.
put words like a name of a player from the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, there's
Actually,
a couple.
The Twins strike out a lot.
There's a couple of teams, like the couple teams that strike out a lot, surely. And if you're capturing that appropriately, that's not hard. But that's known. And then there are a couple of guys who are walking strikeouts. And if I don't have a lineup yet, and if I'm a close call, I'll wait and just like I have a list of 20, rotational guys, and it's just like, is this guy playing? I set up a little flag that says, don't forget to look to see if that guy's in the lineup, because he might be. And if he is, and that if that could push me over, or it could keep me off of an under, right? So I don't think the opposite exists. I don't know of any guys who are rotational players who are like, strikeout avoidance savants, right? Like I definitely haven't found them. If they are, and you think I can add a layer, let me know. So yeah, it's been fun. And what I found out actually from, pretty quickly, was it is a land grab. The K-prop space is a land grab. It's aggressive, and
like the Tom Cruise film Far and Away.
Like the film Far and Away. Absolutely.
Yes.
The minute they go up, the numbers start getting hit. People are not waiting for lineups. People are using XK and whatever form they got it.
How much earlier are they coming out than lineups in general?
7 in the morning my time, so 10 in the morning your time.
First up.
I haven't really been keeping track of who's first up because I'm really only firing in one place.
Sure.
But I can tell you that I'm fighting for the same space with someone who's doing it the same way. And I know it to be 100% sure. Like I can tell when I was not first there, because every side I want has been steamed 15 cents. And it takes one click from a relatively clean account to move a prop 15 cents. And it's not a big click either. It's not a big click either. Worth, by the way, very, very low limits. And I get why this is, this is either a passion project, or if you do take this very seriously and you develop, end boss shit in the prop market, you got to have a friend with 150 accounts and you got to churn through 20 or 25 of them a year. That's the only way to do it, I think, at scale.
You make it sound fun. If you're gonna give me the hard sell.
One other general thought. The other kind of piece of the puzzle that I didn't realize, and it took me a little while to figure out, is how much is a strikeout worth around the median?
1 out.
How many cents is it worth, Andy?
Like,
yeah. Like if you have
5.5 minus 110 and 6 plus whatever. Yeah.
What would you guess?
No idea. 30 cents.
For what?
For
a half strikeout or
half?
You're low.
Low? 45?
45, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. A one strikeout is worth 90 cents around the median.
Sure.
And that, at the extremes, it's a little, there's obviously, edge cases. But pretty much going a full 90 cents is like adding 16% probability to a given prop. And so, kind of coming up with a median and then checking it against, the market, minus 190 is the same as, subtracting an entire strikeout from that same value.
Sure.
So that was important. And to the point where I'm, able to exercise this for, a couple of units over the course of the summer. I'm hopeful.
What did you do on your summer vacation? Matthew has a question that's fun. And it's funny because I had a little analogy to this in my head that I didn't say to anyone or tweet out, but I like Justin Thomas as a golfer, and he is just dog shit right now. Like he's not playing good golf. And I'm like, God, I should just go back and watch the Full Swing episode where he wins. Like to make me feel better about this guy. I still can't bet him this week or until I see it. But Matthew here asks, have either of you watched any of the new Breakpoint episodes, which is the Drive to Survive for tennis that Netflix dropped today? Can something like that meaningfully impact public perception and betting heading into Wimbledon? Remember that movie, Wimbledon? That was pretty bad.
It was.
And this is going to spin
Kirsten
into
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, who I love. She's great in Jumanji, but
You just blew right by the way. I thought JT shot 81 in honor of Kobe. No,
oh God,
that was not part of the plan.
No, he was very bad. But and then second question that I'm going to spin off Matthew's question: have you seen the preview for the Zendaya film where she plays a tennis player who apparently just
based on a true story, probably?
I have no idea. It looked good though. I kind of want to see. I'd watch anything with her in it. She's great.
Yeah. No, I think it's about the love triangle between Stan Wawrinka, Tanasi Kokonakis, and Donna Vekic. Probably. That's my guess.
Maybe. Vekic didn't wreck her knee, but
Vekic was great today. By the way, she beat Robot Kina.
Let's go to the. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think the fact that it is a year old now, like this is stuff that took place at the latter half of 2022. The events that happened there have been fully digested and are kind of a little not really relevant to what's happening now on tour, with the exception of Robot Kina breakout. I don't know if they're even going to feature any, focus on any of that. First of all, I watched the first part of the 2022 recap on Breakpoint, and it was awesome. I'm
still working through Last Dance. I'll get to Breakpoint next.
I loved every minute of it. It was incredible. It was heartbreaking when you got to the Ons part of the story, because she's literally obviously just wants to win a slam and then retire and have kids. And she's a very lovely person. And that what happens right after they feature her winning Madrid is that she goes and she blows their best chance of her life, maybe her only chance of her life, of actually winning a slam where she was the best player. And so it was a really, really, really tough watch. But it was knowing everything that happened and having bet into all that stuff, it was awesome. Loved Breakpoint. Loved it. I don't think that there is a realistic outcome from seeing behind the scenes from these players that is going to change people's opinions in the betting space. Even as much as the likes of Casper Ruud, who was so underwhelming in the tunnel before he played Rafa Nadal, it definitely didn't change my opinion of how he was going to fare against Djokovic. And in fact, if you did make an opinion based on how, his constitution in last year's final was, I think you probably would have been wrong, because he was a lot cooler this time around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to get to this. Several people are asking about the NBA draft. There's been some action in the markets today. Flag's not fully planted, but I think everybody we know is kind of on, at least on one look where we've one of
the buyback continues here.
Yeah, hopefully we can figure out which twin is which, but no, you kind of want to talk about some of the movement in the market over the last couple of days.
Let's talk about the top first, just because it's interesting, and that is, of course, the picks 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, the Scoot Miller stuff with the big movement. A lot of it was, I guess, that's news. News moves. We saw it last year with the 1. That was wrong. I think this is probably right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot funnier if it wasn't again.
Well, yeah, the key factors really were credibility of these sources, right? Not just specifically Woj, but the wishy-washiness of Miller being the pick in the first place.
Yep.
Right? And then backtracking.
The reports from the multiple workouts.
Right? The multiple cycles now of flip-flopping could either be perceived as the reporter is incredible and doesn't have anything, and they're just out there doing what they're doing because they have to do a hit on SportsCenter, or it's a reflection of the reality, which is that Charlotte is in a very bizarre place in terms of transition right now. There's been a bunch of misreporting on this, so let me just kind of lay it out flat, which is Michael Jordan was the majority owner, or he still is technically until July 1st, the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets. He is selling to a group that is going to become the new majority owner on July 1st, but not leaving the organization. He will still be a large shareholder, minority owner at that time. Mitch Kupchak, who was Jordan's hire as the general manager, is presumably a lame duck at that point, but there's no obvious likelihood that he is going to be given his walking papers this summer. He'll probably see them through this season. And so I don't get the sense that the flip-flopping is just a matter of no one's in charge, no one knows who's making the pick. There's uncertainty there. The flip-flopping, as far as I can tell you, is entirely the Hornets are invested in Lamar, not Lamar, in LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo.
They are cognizant of his feelings and not stepping on his toes to where he leaves the franchise and they get nothing. And his feelings through his dad, his agent, his team, whoever, was Brandon Miller. Forget Scoot Henderson. I don't want to share reps. That's my job. Brandon Miller, wing, good, shooter, fine. Talent gap between the two, not that great. So give me Brandon Miller. And for whatever it's worth, Michael Jordan, because either he's like, I don't really care because I've got to go golfing tonight, or he's literally watching the tape and is like, yeah, okay, Brandon Miller looks like an elite player, all-star, fine with me. And they had bring him in for his first visit on the heels of Brandon Miller having mono. And Brandon Miller in his workout sucked.
Have you ever had mono?
Because he was weeks out of recovering from mono, right?
You had it?
No. I don't kiss sick women. What are you talking about?
I do, I guess. I had it freshman year of college. I remember just I'm pretty sure I saw the light. Like, this is it. I'm done. Before I went in and got some fluids put in me. But boy, your ass is whooped for like 2 weeks. Like, you feel like you haven't slept forever. It's rough. So yeah, like going to work out for an NBA team, man, I couldn't even get up off the futon. I can't imagine what that was like. Not
good. So his workout sucked. And then in direct contrast, they bring in Scoot, and Scoot freaking killed it. He killed it because he's doing 2 days and he is a dynamic athlete, and in gym shorts and get up against lesser players, he's going to make them look like fools. So it was pretty obviously like, maybe we made a mistake here. Pretty clearly, people in the organization, minority owners, GM, opinion was Scoot is the better player. And, to the degree that I don't even know if Jordan was at the first workout, he was like, all right, bring him back in for second workouts. We got to, if we're going to actually do this, we need we need another look. And on the second workout, Brandon Miller was more prepared. He was more, more well recovered, and he looked good enough to where they're like, okay, back to plan A. Right. So that was the flip flop. That's entirely understandable, entirely explainable. And I think, the fact that it was reported by, sources who were extremely wrong last year kept the market a little bit, hesitant to really fire on Brandon Miller.
I want your opinion on the flip flop. If everything we've heard is 100% true, I feel like people in the media, or even just opinions you see on Twitter or around the space, get mad when like teams, and not just the NBA and the NFL as well, when teams like, this is $1 billion industry. How do they not know who they're going to take a week out from the draft or whatever? It's like,
the cycle is so fast. It's so compressed.
It's a really important decision. And like, you don't want to screw it up, and you're constantly taking in more info. You're hearing what other teams are doing. You have first off, it's usually multiple people making the decision. Like, I'm fine with them flip-flopping based on everything we heard. It sounds like it just makes sense.
Yeah, and I like the idea that the market went back and forth. I think is actually a reflection of sort of the actual temperature in the room. I don't think it was literally just bad info or market manipulation or inside info or any of that. I think it was literally like, that they haven't seen Miller a second time. They are actually going down the road of Scoot. Okay, they brought him in for a second time on Monday because the whole process is so compressed because they got to get to Summer League by the end of, I don't know when Summer League is, July, right? So yeah, they're on the cusp of going to Summer League. So it all checks out that this would kind of do this. And I think now at this point, people are like, I don't know, this feels fishy. Maybe it shouldn't be minus $1 million that it's Brandon Miller or whatever the price is now, but probably will be. And that's fine. Draft for me starts at 4. I literally do not care what happens with 2 or 3. I guess I care a little bit about whether Portland makes the 3rd pick or trades the 3rd pick, because I think at this point, even with some of the weird reporting today of, Portland's out of the trade market for Dame Lillard, if they do actually make that 3rd pick for Scoot, I think that the clock has started on his departure, and it's just a matter of finding the right partner and executing it at the right time.
I was going to say they said like Dame's staying put and they were keeping the pick, but those things don't seem to jive all that well together. Where it's like, well, if you make the pick and this is who you pick, does Dame really want to be there anymore? And like, doesn't it just kind of start that whole Dame trade cycle over again? And we've got, what is it? When's the first game? November, October?
October 18th-ish.
Yeah, mid to late. You got a lot of time to get that sort of thing done.
Yeah, and that's assuming you even bother trading before the deadline. Like maybe you literally are like, maybe if we're competitive, Dame doesn't actually he actually wants to stay, but it probably starts the clock realistically on his departure, and that'll be interesting. But I don't think it really changes. It doesn't move win equity at all, at least for the time being, in the NBA futures pools. The 4th pick is interesting because certainly there are whiffs around this that I'm in a tinfoil hat conspiracy myself. And by the way, somebody is still just happy to lay massive juice on Ausar Thompson over 5.5. By the way,
I want to hear. Also, I want to hear a story about someone who like lost $50,000 in the draft because he mixed up the Twins. That's the only story I want.
Well, you wouldn't be playing over 5.5 on Ausar.
No. Although, because the market is saying one thing. The market's saying about 4.5, 5 to 1 that they have the Twins. Not the Minnesota Twins, the Thompson Twins, not the band. They have them as a matchup. It's about plus 450 for Ausar to go over it. Amen. Is that right? Like, is that pretty correct? That we're pretty confident if it just goes, Wemby, Miller, Scoot, it's pretty much locked in at 4.
In my opinion, no. But
the market seems pretty fucking sure that it's Amen at 4.
And I think the Rockets have done a very good job of holding their cards close to the vest this cycle. Yeah. And I think that realistically, the idea of floating they like Amen is that they're looking for a trade partner. I think the Rockets would love to recoup a player and trade down and take somebody else in the mix in the lottery who is good. I think the Pistons were the same way. And I think all of these teams are finding out now that the offers just aren't there to trade up, and they're going to end up making these picks, which is why things are starting to solidify. But the floating of Amen being the guy that they had the most eyes for, I mean, at least from reports on the ground, because they did the workouts together, like the Rockets apparently were like, love both of them. And I don't think that they even had a clear preference of Amen over Ausar. And I think that you dig into the tape a bit, and like data would tell you from the G League will tell you that Ausar is a lesser shooter. They're both poor shooters, but he is the lesser of the two. But you look at their shots, and you look at enough of the breakdowns of their shots, and Ausar's, to many other people who have eyes on the game, would tell you that his shot is more fixable. Like, it's more coachable. Like, Amen's looks like naturally more fucked.
Less fucked up.
Yes.
Like out of these two boys, these fucked up shots.
Yes.
Like, this guy's just less fucked up.
Ausar, despite the data saying he can't shoot, his shot is more natural. So potentially more fixable. Anyway, I don't think it's I don't think it's just completely
crazy to me still. And I get it, because I've seen these guys play, and they are crazy athletes. Like the athleticism and just everything about besides shooting is just, obviously S tier shit. But it's crazy that these are just like not only lottery picks, but man, we're out in top 5 pick shit for, hey, we really have to fix this guy's shot though.
Yeah. No, they have other skill sets that's 99%.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. It's like S tier.
The stuff you can't teach. The stuff you can't teach. 99% though. Yeah. I'm fine with taking a shot on that, especially at 4. Anyway, the general vibe I get is that it is closer to 50-50 than the market would say by a lot. I have bets on Osser over Amon. I have bets on Osser fourth.
I was going to say I do too.
But
I hope he like just
yeah, it would be cool
confirmation
if that happens.
bias on that.
Yeah, if that's the sort of the surprise, the shock of the top five, then I'm going to make some serious money on that. If it's not, then I still have very strong hopes that Osser goes fifth. All of the mock drafts today kind of coalesced and came together and are sort of straight lining now that Osser to the Pistons is the likely fifth choice. And again, like if he goes outside of the top five, if it's going to ruin my night, my week, no, but I'm going to be bummed. I think that the other kind of major liability that I'm holding that I'm really confused about and really kind of sketched about is Whitmore. Whitmore? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Whitmore over. There was a specific flag planting by the connected Detroit guy from The Athletic that he was out of the mix for the Detroit Pistons at 5. I suspect strongly he is out of the mix for the Rockets at 4. So Whitmore over 5.5 was a lovely play at plus 260, plus 250, plus 220, plus 200. And so very hopeful that he slides out of the top 5. Injury red flags are floating around. That doesn't seem like smokescreeny stuff to me. Maybe it is because apparently the Celtics love him. Apparently the Jazz love him, and they're working on sign-in trades or trades up, and they're trying to covet him in the 6, 7, 8 range. But whatever the case is, I think the Pistons are out, and I think the Rockets are out, which means he's probably in the lower half of the top 10, and therefore an overplay. Those markets are largely correctly priced now and beaten into place, but somebody still came back today and played a bunch more like they think he's going to go fifth, and I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't know anyone that's saying that. So it's very confusing, and I think it must be either someone has some sort of connected the dots that a trade is happening with the Pistons, but the sense I got today was the Pistons have settled into, we're going to make this pick, and it's going to be whichever the Twins is available.
I don't hate it.
If it was Amon, that'd be awesome because I got some 15-1 on that. I would love some of that, but I don't think that's gonna. I mean, maybe it happens. Osser over Amon 4-5 would be as fun a draft as I could ever possibly imagine for this cycle. Not in life, obviously. But the Amon Osser 4-5 would also be just tremendously fine by me.
Yeah, just getting Osser in under 5 would be cool. Under 5.5, under 6
would be cool.
Something like that would be good.
Would be cool. Pushing Whitmore down a little bit would be cool. And then really after that, I don't have a ton. I grabbed some backstopping on Black at 8.5. I went pretty juicy on that. I don't feel super about it because I'm like still sticking from laying juice in the NFL cycle. But I think Black's floor is 8 for the Wizards. Yeah, and then down the board, I didn't really bet anything that's available anywhere close to current prices. At least
I'm seeing. I saw 2 or 3 people tweet some stuff out about like, there's some of the domestic books have just prices for, to go in the first round, and some people made some cases for some really big long shots. It's like, hey, no, this guy like. And I looked him up. It's like, no, this guy's not making a team. Like he might get picked somewhere. It's like this is a fun one for somebody to grab in the second round, but probably not on an NBA roster next year. So it's like, yeah, I don't know how nuts I would get with some of that. We've had fun with that with the NFL. I know some people have hit some nice shots on, nothing huge, but some guys to go in the first round that are, mocked between like 20 and 50. Every year you get 2 or 3 guys that slide up and you get some decent prices. But I mean, I saw people betting like 40, 50 to 1 to go in the first round. It's like those kind of guys just don't get hyped up by these NBA teams. There's too many other players to take.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. And also I think there's an element of like at the end of the first round, you're just, you don't mind going with the consensus. You don't mind doing an agent a solid. Like it's a lot less random stuff and a lot more I don't know. It's more predictable, I guess is what I'm getting at. Less uncertainty. Anyway.
If there's any, and again, maybe you're listening to this on Thursday, but if there is anything fun that happens tomorrow, try to slide it out there in the Discord. Like, hey,
oh yeah, for sure.
Little birdie says.
If I get a note, if I get a note tonight, or if something really happens materially,
like Leonard Miller ain't going past 22 guys. That's not it. Don't.
I kind of think he might be going past 22.
Yeah.
That's just
or vice versa. Leonard Miller, no chance goes before 22. So
yeah. What was
these are really tough too. Swaglord Ken's asked about the senior freshmen markets. There's so much variability in that, like 20 through, at the end of the first round range, where it's like, I don't know, man. Those are pretty good prices, I think.
I haven't really even tried to handicap them. There's probably some edges there. I noticed the.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. We'll get to the next question after that.
The GG Jackson versus Rupert market was funny because they opened it with the prices backwards. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was a fun one. So if somehow GG Jackson goes before Rayan Rupert, the Frenchman, then I'm going to be pretty butthurt. We'll see.
Do you have any exposure to the NHL draft? Obviously not. Beyond Bedard at 1, there's starting to be some buzz that things could get swirly with the Rushman kid. You know what? Things got squirrely last year, and I can remember I was at the second Newt's location here in Rochester with the wife sitting in the bar section watching the NHL draft, and she's like, "Oh, do you like hockey now?" I'm like, "No, just the first 4 picks. I really want to see these teams again." She knows what's going on, but I didn't bet a ton on this. I think it was like 50 or 100 they let max on these kind of props, but I lost like 5 out of 6 NHL props I placed based on some people feeding me some information. But whoever got drafted 4th was like 22-1 or something to go there. Like there was one that was like, holy shit! Like everything's coming up us this year for drafts. Like I remember I walked away from the NHL draft up a little bit too, based on a place I can't really bet anymore. But I mean, there were some places that hung quite a few different NHL draft prices, and I remember some of the guys that we just talked draft betting with, they got early prices on the Finnish kid as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I haven't had any. I have no liquidity whatsoever, so
I went. Drew can attest to this too. I went hunting for draft props at, there's all right, bookmaker, yeah, bet online, yeah, like then you get down like Bovada and a few other places, and it's like, hey, you can bet here, and then you get into the real dregs of the the offshore community and books I don't use a ton, but at a certain point, when it's like, all right, I'm trying to see if I can get any more down on something, or see if they have a bad price, or see if they have some props that nobody else has, I'll start opening up every last offshore I have and looking at everything. And I got to one today, and I'm like, sometimes they categorize shit in a weird spot. Sometimes it's not under NBA. Sometimes they have a separate NBA draft tab. Sometimes it's under, futures. Sometimes it's under something terrible like entertainment. So I clicked on entertainment on one book today, and I sent Drew some screenshots. I mean, good. I think it's a Heritage clone, but man, you can bet on Mexican celebrity Big Brother. There's like a Vietnamese rap battle contest where you can, there's like 40 different reality shows that they were taking markets on. Yeah, one was, I gotta find this, Vietnam Rap Viet 2023 winning mentor. So it's some sort of like mentorship rap television program. I mean, the Time Magazine Person of the Year, Australia's Gab hottest 100 Aussie craft beer winning brewery.
You didn't ever actually tell me the answer, but what was what does the market look like for the let me read it correctly. Spotify Wrapped top streamed artist.
Oh, I mean, you're right. T Swift is minus 250.
Oh, really? What's the price on Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny was second favorite at plus 175. So yeah, Spotify Wrapped.
Okay.
And yeah, not listed. Not listed was our girl. Oh, Olivia Rodrigo's 30-1. I had to
30-1. Yeah,
expand it.
she's a long shot to look for.
She's got a new. I think she's got a new single coming out.
Yeah,
and
she
boy,
could.
my
She
daughter
could be
loves her.
she could be a last half of the year. As you know, Andy, it's the solstice. We still have half the year left.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could steal the show. I could see that.
The Nobel Prize in Literature.
Who's the favorite in that market? Wait, no, let me guess. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. Who is the favorite in Nobel Prize of Literature?
Thomas Pynchon is nominated.
Really?
He's alive, first off, and nobody's actually read Gravity's Rainbow. We are getting off topic here, but I'd encourage you guys to find the weirdest thing you can bet on and spend 20 minutes handicapping the. Sports person of the year for the BBC. I've seen people betting on that for years. That's not actually an odd one at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a guess on who that's going to be?
Here's one too. This might be the most fucked up one outside of the fact that my bookie used to have matchups for deaths, and it would be like, and they do it like in a fucked up way where it was like Cosby versus somebody else who was like old and in trouble for sex crimes. Yeah, it's like, which one of these guys will die first? I'm like, I'm not betting on that.
Betting on that?
You guys are terrible. But here's what is: who will be the final person to appear in the 2024 Academy Awards memoriam sequence?
Ooh, the hammer. Ooh. So you're projecting somebody to die between now and then?
No, I mean, I think it's all people who have passed already, like Jerry Springer's listed.
No, but they're not going to
Oscars. Yeah, but in 9 months, that's the thing. I don't know if they take requests or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of fucked up stuff in the internet's weird, guys.
Okay,
is this where we're ending? We can't.
I guess so.
We gotta talk.
I don't have a pick for New Zealand Taskmaster season 4 winner.
Seacrest, Wheel of Fortune host, that actually checks out, Dan.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. The I guess a fun way to end this. I'm just clicking through the stuff that I bet to see if there's anything especially cool or interesting.
Sweden has a Brigitte Nielsen prize. Is that Drago's wife in Rocky IV?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, she was a soprano. She was a singer. Never mind. This is a whole different thing.
No, the Danish actress Brigitte Nielsen.
I was thinking of a whole different person. Goodness God.
The one that was married, not the one that was married to Sylvester Stallone.
No.
Okay.
I do have a James Bond ticket on God, who's it? Oppenheimer there.
Cillian Murphy, yeah.
Cillian Murphy from 2019.
Still open?
Still pending. So maybe the Oppenheimer role is what finally drives him to success. Or pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Okay. Well, if you want to sweat out some K-props with me, those are the only things live in my account that we haven't talked about yet that are available to bet tonight. I bet Shohei Ohtani under 7.5. I got that at plus money. And I bet some Yu Darvish under 5.5 at plus money as well. So hopefully I didn't get a bust in my batters faced projection for those players. But it looks like it's going to be a winning day for me regardless. So this is going to be gravy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go Dodgers. Don't strike out. It is funny, by the way, watching the game through
Put
the
some
lens
balls
of a
in play,
K-prop.
guys.
Watching the game through the lens of a K-prop is it's a weird experience.
What is
like cheering for contact outs.
Yeah, what is Kevin Costner's line in Bull Durham? He says it. He's like strikeouts aren't God damn it.
Do you need me to vamp while you look it up?
Yeah, I'm looking this up. He says it's not democratic or something like that.
Strikeouts are fascist.
Strikeouts are fascist. Yeah, that's true. I do. Yeah, they hit the over on the very last batter when they've been like just laboring for an inning and a half, and they leave him in for like 6 batters longer than you would have ever left him in because you're clearly not biased with that bet. And it's like, and then the last guy just fouls off 2 absolute meatballs that should have gone over the fence, and then swings at something horrible for the 3rd strike. That's how you lose these.
That happened to me today, but the other way around. I had Rich Hill under 4.5. I projected him for 4. He had faced 20-something batters. He had 4 strikeouts, and he plunked my buddy Trey Mancini, put him on base. He gave up a big old double to Hap, and I was like, okay, pull him, hook him, get him the hell out of there. But no, Gomes, the catcher, comes up to the plate. He had already struck out twice in the game to Rich Hill. Rich Hill is, but keep in mind, Rich Hill is throwing 74 mile an hour cheese. He's throwing straight cheese.
He's older than us.
Gomes had already struck out twice, and Dick Mountain throws an 11 pitch out to him, and ultimately he walked. He's all over the place, outside the zone, not even close. It's just 80s, 70s, just all the cheese in the world. And Gomes couldn't get his bat on it other than to hit foul balls. Full count. He walked after fouling off 5 pitches in an 11 pitch out. An 11 pitch at bat, and ultimately Rich Hill got pulled after that, and the next guy struck out. So it all worked out well. That was fun.
I like it. So
let's wrap it up.
Good luck to you. Good luck to everyone. And yeah, we'll be next week. NFL guys, right into it.
All right. Best luck.
See ya. I need to memorize that fascist speech. The strikeouts are
I'm going to watch Bull Durham now, man. There are so many good quotes in that one. Oh, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains.
It rains.
Yeah, sometimes it rains.
I like it when he tells scare him.